Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at finding the median, mode and range when given the data in the form of a frequency table. Well, first of all, let's turn to the question, what is a frequency table? A frequency table is a table that shows the data together, telling you how many times each number occurs. Let's have a look at one together. So we're going to make a frequency table looking at the ages of a group of children. Here are the 8 children. Their ages are put above their heads. In previous lessons, we've been given the data just like that. We'd have that list of numbers there, as we can see. However, instead, we're going to put it into a table, a frequency table. So I've drawn a little table like this. And in the first column, we're going to put a heading. What we're looking at is the age of the children. So age is going to be the heading at the top. And the thing we're going to put on the right here is frequency. Well, what does frequency mean? Frequency just means how many times. So what are the possible ages of the children that needs to go in this left-hand side? Well, they could be 6 years old, they could be 7 years old, or they could be 8 years old. There's no other ages there. Well, how many 6-year-olds though? I've got to fill in this side here, the frequency. Frequency is how many times. So how many 6-year-olds are there? There's 1 here, 2. Are there any others yet? There's 1 here, 3. So the frequency of 6-year-olds, there's 3 of them. Okay. How about 7-year-olds? Well, there's 1 here. There's just 1, isn't there? So the frequency, how many times are there 7-year-olds? Just 1. And then that leaves me with the 8-year-olds, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the left-hand side shows us what we're talking about. We're looking at the age of some children. The right-hand side, or the frequency, tells us how many are in each group. So this is saying there's 3 6-year-olds, 1 7-year-old, and 4 8-year-olds. So once we have our frequency table, we're then going to be left with questions like, how will we find averages from them? So we're going to look at each average individually. First of all, the mode. Let's remind ourselves, what is the mode? Mode is most common. So what we've got to deduce from the table is which number comes up the most number of times. It's easy when it's in a list. However, we haven't got a list, we've got the table. So let's have a look at the table. So here the age tells us we've got 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds. And the frequency, remember, tells us how many times. So it tells us how many times each number up. So surely the mode, being the most common, will be the number that has the highest frequency. So the highest frequency is this number here. So now looking at the table, we're looking at highest frequency, which is the same as the most common. However, just be careful. Even though in our frequency the highest number is 4, this is telling us that there's 4 lots of 8-year-olds. So actually the mode is 8 years. The most number of times something comes up is 8-year-olds. We know this because let's just pretend we were going to write out the data. The first bit, which says this bit of data here, a frequency of 3 for 6-year-olds, means that 6 years old came up 3 times like that. What does this 1 mean? It means 7 came up 1 time. And the last row with the 4 tells us that 8 came up 4 times. So we would see from this list here that the mode would be 8 because 8 comes up the most often. So make sure not to make the mistake of saying 4 is the mode. That would be wrong. The mode is the one that has the highest frequency, but then remember we've got to look back at what is that frequency saying. It's saying 8 years. The mode is that you would be 8 years old. Having a look at a few extra examples, it's quite easy to make a few mistakes with these. So let's have a look at what potential mistakes could be made. I've got to find the mode of this. It's saying, is the mode 7? Is that true or false? Well, 7 is in the frequency column and it's not the highest number, so we know that is false. What about this one here? We're looking at the colours. We can have a look. There's red, blue, green or pink, and the frequency, remember, tells us how many times it comes up. Is the mode red and blue? Well, red and blue only have a frequency of 7 and green and pink have higher than that, so it's not the most common. So red and blue are not the mode, so that's false again. What about this one here? It's saying the mode is pink. Well, remembering that the mode is the most common or the highest frequency, they are correct. Pink is the mode because if we look down the frequency column, 10 is the highest number, but the mode isn't 10, it's the colour pink. So that one's true. Another example is they're proposing that the mode is red. Well, let's have a look. We look at the frequency column, which is the highest frequency. It is this 10, that's bigger than 8, it's bigger than 7, bigger than 7. And what does that 10 mean? It means red came up 10 times. So red is the most common, so that's true. This one here, they're saying the mode is red and blue. Well, we'll look at the frequency, and both red and blue have the highest. So if you have more than one group or category that has the same frequency and they're the highest, then they can both be the mode. So in this set of data, we've got 2 modes. Both red and blue came up 10 times. However, if you get a set of data where the frequency for every group is the same, they've put the mode is red, blue, green and pink. Well, that would be false. If all of the frequencies are the same, then we have no mode. So again, same sort of thing. All the frequencies are the same. They say, is the mode a no mode? That is true. Okay, so it's your turn now. You've got 6 different tables there. Go through each one. It says what the mode they think it is, and you've got to say whether that is true or false. For each of them, instead of just putting true or false, try and think of the reason why it's true and why it's false. So pause the video now and have a go at that. Okay, so let's go for some answers. The first one, they put the mode is 2. Well, that one was false. There's not even a group there, which is of 2. There's frequencies that are 2, but remember the frequency is never the mode, it's whatever this left-hand side says. The next one, is the mode 6? Well, 6 is the most number of times something comes up, but remember we don't put the mode as the frequency, we put it as what it's telling us. So the mode should be 3 pets rather than 6, so that one's false. This one here, is the mode 3? Well, which one has the highest frequency? This one here. And what is that corresponding to? That corresponds to the 3, so that one was true. This one here. This one here says, is the mode 5? Well, let's have a look. The highest frequency is this here, 6. And what does that correspond to? 5. 5 pets, so that one should be true. Is the mode 6 for this one here? Well, the highest frequency, well, there's 2 there, so actually the mode should be both 5 and 6. So that one's false, because you should have 5 and 6 as the mode. The last one, is 2 and 3 the mode? Well, the highest frequencies are here, which is 2 and 3 pets, so that one is true. So the next average we're looking at is the range. Remember, that is the biggest value, take away the smallest value. So let's just pretend we're writing it in a list and see how we'd work that out, and then we'll have a look at the table. So remember, if we were writing these values as a list, the 3 here is telling me there's 3 6-year-olds. The 1 here is saying there's 1 7-year-old. And the 4 here is saying there's 4 8-year-olds. So that would be what it looks like in a list of data. And so to find the range, we would do the biggest value, take away the smallest value. The biggest value in that list is 8 and the smallest value is 6. So we know the range is going to be 2. But instead of having to do this step here, which may be a bit of a waste of time, especially if, let's say, it said, I've got 36-year-olds. I'd have to write out 6 30 times. That would be a waste of time. So how would I do it from the table? Well, we have a look at the left-hand column and we say, what's the biggest value? What's the biggest age you could be? Well, that's 8 years old. And what's the smallest value I could be? 6-year-old. So the range of the data is 2 years. So again, it's really important making sure we're choosing the right numbers. We're looking at the left column, not the frequency. So we've got to my turn, your turn here. Can I find the range of this question here? Well, let's remind ourselves, range equals the biggest, take away the smallest. Well, before I have a look at that, what does this table tell me? They've obviously surveyed how many pets people have, and we can see from this first column, 6 people have 2 pets. 1 person has 3 pets. 3 people have 4 pets, and 6 people have 5 pets. But what's the range of the data? Well, the biggest, the most number of pets I could have is 5. And what's the smallest number of pets I could have in this table? 2. So the range is 5, take away 2. Notice we were looking down this left-hand column again instead of the frequency. So my range is 3 pets. I could have 5, take away 2 pets, so that's 3. Your turn now. Have a go at this one here. Pause the video and then come back to it when you're ready. Okay, I'll come back. So the range, remember, is the biggest value, take away the smallest. And we've got to be really careful. We're looking at the left column. So again, this time we're looking at number of pets. The first column is telling us that 19 people had 12 pets, which is a lot of pets. So the range is the biggest, take away the smallest. Well, what are the most number of pets I could have had from that table? That's 15 here. And what's the smallest number of pets I could have had? 12. So the range for this set of data is 3 again, 3 pets. The difference between the most and the least number of pets I have is 3. So your turn again. Can you find the range of each of these set of data? Well done for that. So here are the answers for each of those questions. Mark them off and notice which numbers I used. Maybe if you didn't quite get it right, just double check those. So the last average we're going to look at is the median. Remember, median means the middle point, the middle value. How am I going to know where that middle value is? Well, we've got to use this formula here, n plus 1 divided by 2. And that will tell us what position is the middle value. What position is the middle value? Notice we have an n there. And what does that n mean? It means the total frequency, the total number of people who answered the question in the survey. And how do we work that out? Well, we have a look at the frequency column and we add them all up, the total frequency. So the total number of people we asked were 3 plus 2 plus 4. And that gives us a total of 9. So we've got 9 people in the group. Now we can carry on here. We know what the total frequency is. We know what n is. We worked it out to be 9. And we find the middle position by doing n plus 1, so 9 plus 1 divided by 2. 9 plus 1 is 10, and I've got to divide that by 2. So I've got to find the 5th value. That is where the median is going to be. It's going to be the 5th value. So starting from the top, the number of 6-year-olds is 3. So here, by the end of the 6-year-olds, we're at the 3rd value. Then in the 7-year-olds, we have the 4th and the 5th value. And then when we get to the 8-year-olds, once we've included them, we've got the 6th value, 7th, 8th, and 9th. If we put them in a line, the 6-year-olds would be the first 3, The 7-year-olds would be in 4th position and 5th position, and then the 8-year-olds would be 6, 7, 8, 9 at the end of the line. And we want the middle value, so that's going to be the 5th person in the line. Well, where is the 5th person in the line? Here, which is which group? Here. So the median is the person in the 5th value, or 5th in the line, and they would be 7 years old. Time for my turn, your turn. I've got to find the median, and remember that's the middle value. So I'm going to use that formula at the bottom here. Remember, n means total frequency. So let's find that bit first. So step 1 is find the total frequency. Total frequency, remember, is all of the numbers in the frequency column added together. So 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2. I've taken every value of frequency, added together. I should get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've then got to put that into the formula to find the middle position. So step 2 is use this here to find the middle position. So how far along the line do I have to count to find the person who's in the middle? So n we just worked out was 11 plus the 1 divided by 2. 11 plus 1 is 12 divided by 2 is 6. So if I line them all up, the person who is 6th in the queue is going to be my middle, is going to be my median. So let's have a look at that on the table. So let's have a think. This is the start of my line at the top. I would have the first 2 people in the line would have 0 siblings. I haven't yet reached 6, so I need to keep going. Then the number of people who have 1 sibling, we'd have 4 people there. So this would be first person in the line, second person in the line. Then here we've got 4 people, so they would be 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, because there's 4 in the frequency, so I need 4 more positions. So we've actually hit the value we need to find, the 6th value, and that's in this group here, 1 sibling. So the median of this data is having 1 sibling. Have a go at this question on the right hand side, and then we'll go through it together. Okay, so the answer. First step, remember, is to find the total frequency. So that's all the frequencies added together. So that's 4 plus 7 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4. So that gives me 25. So that's what my n is going to be when I move on to step 2. Step 2 is to find the middle position. And we find the middle position using that formula n plus 1 divided by 2. N we just worked out is 25 plus 1 over 2. 25 plus 1 is 26. Got to divide that by 2, so I've got 13. So I'm looking to find the 13th value. Let's look at the table again. So the number of people who have 0 siblings is 4. So we'd have the first person in the line, second person, third person, fourth person. So we've got those people lined up. We've got the first 4. What about here? I've got now another 7 people, so I need to write 7 more numbers in here. 5, 6, 7. I've only written 3 numbers. 8, 9, 10. That's 6 numbers. And then 11. Okay, so we're ordering the people in a straight line. We've got the first 4 here. They'd be in first, second, third, and fourth position. Then the next 7 people would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then the next 2 people, we've got 12 and 13. We're looking at this 13th position. So we've lined them up. The person in the 13th position is in this group here, having 2 siblings. So the median should be 2 siblings. Before you have a go yourself, let's just have a look at this example. So remember, step 1, we find the total frequency. And we do that by adding all of those frequencies up. So 3 plus 1 plus 4 gives me 8. Step 2, we try and find where in the queue we're going to find our person, or the middle value. And we do that by using this formula. N being the number we've just worked out, the total frequency, plus 1 divided by 2. 8 plus 1 is 9 divided by 2. Well, 9 divided by 2 gives me a decimal, 4.5. So do I need to find the 4.5 value? When we get to this point here, what we're going to do is always round up. So 4.5 rounded up goes to 5. So actually we're going to be looking at the fifth value. So if you get to this point here where you've got a 0.5, always round up. Now we can carry on as normal. Step 3, we've got to find where the fifth value lies in the table. Okay, so let's have a look at our table. The first 3 values lie in this point here. The next value is there's just one person in there. So if I've already got 3 and I'm adding one more, then I've got 4. Then looking at the last group of 8-year-olds, we've got 4 of them. So if I've already got 4 and I add another 4, that's 8 people. So in the first group, if we include the 6-year-olds, I've got 3. If I include another one, I've got 4. If I include another 4, I've got 8. So where is the fifth person? Well, they're not going to be in the first 3 here. And they're not going to be the next one because we're then at 4. But they will be in this next one here. Okay, we've gone from 4 to 8. Well, that's where the fifth position lies, doesn't it? Between 4 and 8. And where are those people there? In this group here, 8-year-olds. So the median for this is 8 years old. So notice when we were working through these, to find these purple numbers, we were just adding this cumulative frequency up. So 3 plus the 1 gave us 4, plus this 4 gave us then 8. And then we were looking for the fifth value. So it's not 3, not 4, it's then going to be between here, 4 and 8. Okay, time for you to practice. Choose 5 of these questions to answer. You're going to try and find the median of each one. Remember to look back at the last slide if you're a little bit stuck. Remember, you will need that formula n plus 1 divided by 2 to find the middle position. Okay, if you finish those, try and notice how the median changes between questions that look very similar. And why do you think this change happens? Pause the video now and have a go. Here are the answers to those 9 questions. Can you mark them off now? So these 2 questions look very similar. The number of pets is the same. We've got 0 to 3, haven't we? Ranging from 0 to 3. And we have 11 and 10 in the frequency, just in different positions. So why is the median 1 here and median 3 for the second one? Well, it's because remember median is the middle value. So the middle value for this top question is going to be either the 1 or 2, because that's all the values are. If we had people in a line, there'd be no zeros, there'd be no 3s. People with 0 pets or 3 pets, we just have a queue of 1 and 2s. And because there's more 1s than 2s, that's why that's the median. And the median is 3 here because look, the data's shifted down, hasn't it? We've now only got people with 2 pets or only people with 3 pets. And that's why the median has increased, because the middle value is going to be either a 2 or a 3. So final question here. I've taken a summary of the number of school dinners students had in 1 week, and this table shows that information. Can you use what you've learnt in today's lesson to find the mode? Sometimes it can be seen as modal, the range of the data, and the median. If you can, put it in context. So for example, what does that number mean? So don't just put, let's say the mode is 23, say the mode is 23 dinners. So you're putting it in context of the question, telling me what it actually means. Well done for completing that. Let's go through the answer. Mode, remember, is most common. Most common, we look at the highest frequency, the highest number of times it came up, because remember, frequency means how many, so we want that to be the highest. So we're looking at this column for the mode. 12 is the highest frequency, but we don't want the frequency, remember, we want to see what group that is. 2, and putting it into context, 2 school dinners. So the most, when I did my survey, 12 people said that they had 2 school dinners a week, which was the highest value, the most common answer. So the mode you're looking for there is 2 school dinners. Next one, what about the range? Range is biggest, take away the smallest. But don't forget, we're looking at school dinners, so I'm not looking at frequency, I'm looking at the possible number of school dinners I could have. The most school dinners a week I could have is 5, and the smallest number of school dinners I could have is 0. So the range is 5, but putting it into context, 5 school dinners. Good. Moving on to the very last one. Let's get rid of those bits there. Last one is median, which is the tricky bit. Okay, so remember each of our steps. Step 1 is we find the total frequency. So we add up the frequency column. So 0 plus 8 plus 12 plus 6 plus 4 plus 2. Excuse me, 32. Step 2 is we plug it into n plus 1 divided by 2. Well, the n is 32, what we've just worked out, the total frequency. 32 add 1 is 33. And 33 divided by 2 gives us 16.5. Remember, if we get 16.5, if we get a 0.5 in there, we always round up. So that's got to be the 17th value is what my median is going to be. I'm looking for where the 17th value lies in our table. So here we've got 0 people. Here we've got 8. So the first 8 people would be lining up there. Then after the end of this group, we've got 12 more people. So at the end of that group, we've got 20. So in between the end of this group here and the end of this group here, we would have passed the 17th value, the 17th person in the queue. Therefore, we look at the group that was in, and it's in 2. Putting that into context, the median, therefore, is 2 school dinners. So really well done if you got all of those correct.